All right, so that's the update. The fact that about 15 persons were reported killed in Nuru village in the outgoing wake is another sad addition to the teeming number of deaths that have been recorded at the wake of this violence. But just yesterday thereabout, the federal government released what it called a fact sheet. It is tagged the federal response to the attacks and killings by herdsmen in Benue and other states. And they are saying that the fact that certain people are beginning to bring the status of President Muhammadu Buhari as a Fulani man into this issue is not acceptable. As a matter of fact, they said in 2013, no fewer than 9 cases of herdsmen attacks were recorded in Benue State alone, with more than 190 people killed. In 2014, there were no fewer than 16 recorded attacks, and in Benue, which killed more than 230 victims. Between January and May 2015, 6 attacks left more than 300 people dead. And again, in Benue State alone, they went on and on to give figures of how about this being an issue that has happened even before the emergence of President Muhammadu Buhari as president. And they also talked about certain efforts that the federal government began taking as regards this issue. I'm joined now by editors on the show to review this development and channel a way forward for these challenges that is now called perhaps the saddest thing Nigerians experience, apart from the first scarcity that kickstart before the Utah. Dipo Layoko is here. I have Yemi Saka as well as Sunday Odibashi. Thank you, gentlemen, for finding time to come.
Yes, thank you.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, it's not the first time. Sunday is rocking the Benue attire in solidarity. I understand that he's also from that area of Nigeria. Let me start with Dipo. How on earth does this happen? I mean, we're talking about 73 people buried in Benue, but then just this week again, the mortality rate is still increasing, even though the president has asked the IGP to relocate to Benue. How does it happen under the nose of such security presence?
I think the IGP got there on Wednesday on Thursday. I don't think we have recorded any incident taken since after then. But even having said that, I always maintain that the way the Nigerian security agencies, especially the police, was wired and created, they are not capable of quelling crimes, of checking crimes. At best, they use what we call struggle to end issues. Just take common protests by university students, and you see how the police will unleash maximum force. And we have a situation when police hear gunshots from armed robbers, then they derobe using the military term, because that is the way they are wired. You see, but unfortunately, Nigeria is in a very serious situation. And typical of Nigerian governments, they have always been found wanting when it comes to delivering on their mandate. Section 14 of National Constitution as amended, which is the ground norm, as we always say, that guides the activities of people and their government, is very clear. Section 14 says, yeah, 2B, says that the primary purpose of the government is, one, security, before they now talk about welfare. Okay. Because it's like those who drafted the constitution realized the fact that without security, there cannot be welfare. And unfortunately, any government that fails to deliver on this has failed woefully. There's no two way about it. Because if you go to when they were teaching us, I think philosophy 101 or so, then we were discussing the year of social contract. When people said, okay, let us go away from the state of anarchy, brutish and stuff. Let us have some people to regulate our activities. So you and I, we tried to hands off our power, our right to defend ourselves. We said, okay, let us put all these powers in the hands of some individuals to administer for us. And that is why, because if there's no government that can check the future of some bad months, it won't be difficult for all of us to be sitting down here, because some people will just come in, begin to shoot. And we have always said this thing, in other climes where we have peace, government has always had the monopoly of enforcement power. That is the power of coercion. And what does the government use to do that? They use the security agencies. Okay. That's why when we were small, they called them, when you see a policeman, they say, "Olopambo," without even saying anything, you must run. Because they believe that the state is embodied in that man that is gone. It's only these days we see policemen carrying guns. But these days, we have so many non-state actors that have powers of coercion, that are even in sort of rivalry with the government. And that is why we are today.
Let's look at the perception that perhaps Mr. President isn't doing enough. Some have accused him of not visiting the place in person, giving a telecast, addressing the issue particularly. But then, how balanced is this view, given the fact that these attacks long predated the emergence of the Buhari government? According to this fact sheet, there were even more number of people killed in previous years than we have now. There's also a list of efforts of the federal government, one of which is that the president has met with the Benue State governor. He has directed the IGP to relocate to Benue State. The Minister of Interior had convened a security meeting. Of course, on Wednesday, January 10, 2018, the IG held a stakeholders engagement with the Benue State government, elders, community, religious, and traditional leaders. And also, since the first week of January, immediately after the January 1 attacks, the IGP has deployed certain number of police personnel to the affected areas. Would you say this is not enough effort on the part of the president?
I need to try and catch my breath and suppress the anger in me, and now I'm calm and I'll now talk. I think I find it very insulting to the collective changes of Nigeria, the statement released by Femi Adesina. You cannot justify crime by reading out fact sheets or facts like you say, like you have there. Because 700 people died during former President Goodluck Jonathan's regime doesn't make one person or 10 persons dying now right.
But does it matter to the intent that this is not an issue because Buhari is president?
No, I'm going to drive that. I'm going to come to that. Year 2000, anybody that's familiar with the app called Google could just type President General Muhammadu Buhari visit Oyo State. He went there as an Iowa leader and was demanding compensation for Fulani herdsmen allegedly killed by farmers or host communities. And thank God that late Lamadishino was the governor. They were so matured enough and handled it fantastically well. And after that, I remember I think in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, President Muhammadu Buhari got into the military fatigue, what people call camouflage, and went to Zamfara State to inaugurate a task force to combat cattle rustling. And that task force has been doing so well. They've caught a lot of cattle rustlers. They've returned heads of cattle to herdsmen, and they've charged some people to court. But till we speak, we've not seen any task force arresting any rampaging herdsmen. I don't want to say Fulani herdsmen because I'll call them killer herdsmen. It was even reported that a detachment of the Army Division in FCT arrested a truckload of herdsmen with assault rifles on their way to Nasarawa, on the claims that they were going to Nasarawa to avenge the killings of their cattle and members. And till we speak, it's still a dilly-dally between the police and the army authorities. You have them, I have them, you have them, I have them. Now, when there was this attack in southern Kaduna, man, on Sahel-Rufai and whoever, the narratives out there was these guys are unknown and foreigners. So we cannot apprehend them, or we can't identify them. Now you're telling me that they've done so well, and one of the fantastic things they've coming up with, by their definition, is cow or cattle colonies. Now the question is, have we not identified these men that were unidentified when they were killing people in Benue, in Plateau, and what have you? Now we can identify them to give them such a parcel of land to start their colonies. We've forgotten that in Nasarawa State, in Taraba State, when there was this Mambila attack, under 72 hours, the IGP of police was on ground. As far, at least by that, during that period, President Muhammadu Buhari was still in UK hibernating. So without any form of anything, the Minister of Interior was there, the GOC was there. Now, it took the deafening outcry of Nigerians for the president to even acknowledge their Gatu killings. So you want to tell me this is balanced? You don't peer on my face and tell me it is raining, if any.
Well, we'll get to the details of that, but are we putting this in the right perspective? Because some would say it is an issue of militant herdsmen attacking communities. But then the IGP came up with the report that this is a matter of communal clash. How come we don't have a cohesive understanding or acknowledgement of the true situation in Benue?
Yeah, that's a demonstration of the sentiment that is surrounding the killings. Now, each individual will always come up with reasons
And narratives.
and narratives to defend certain interests. And that is why you're having varying reasons why the killings are occurring there. Don't forget in Southern Kaduna, when they started, Governor El-Rufai gave money to the herdsmen. And when the thing became public, he said no, he didn't give them money to go and kill. And he gave them money because of the cows that were killed. Now, when deeper investigation was conducted, now it was found that the Southern Kaduna uprising was as a result of a Fulani fighting an indigene, an old man who was having crisis with the wife, and injured, and the youth now going to revenge, and the war started. Okay, so each time they come up with reasons because they want to protect certain interests. So that is why the reasons they are given are not coherent. You can look at the damaging statement from the president that about 720 persons were killed in Benue. So they are justifying the current killing. Was that the reason why the president did not act when he's supposed to act?
I don't see it as a justification.
No, that was what Femi Adesina was
trying to do. It's a justification. No, it's a justification.
No, Femi, don't hold before. Let the Femi Adesina come and hold before
until they get to that 720 before the government will act.
No, wait. Can you?
Now, hold on.
That's your perception.
No, it's not my perception.
Would you also hear my perception now? There is a perception in the public space that because the president is a Fulani man, that is why this issue is happening. But then the presidency is saying this is not an issue exclusive to 2018. It has predated the emergence of the Buhari administration.
You are not saying it's happening now because you are not saying it's happening now because it's Muhammadu Buhari, a Fulani man. We are saying the government is inactive because it's Muhammadu Buhari.
Let's drive over that sentiment. I agree that those crises, it has been there. Okay, the crises have been there. But the point is that when you come, you behave as a government. You act as a government. You provide leadership. You provide governance. Okay? Now, it is there in the principles establishing the state. In the principle establishing the government, it says that it's the only state that has the monopoly of violence. The day that any group or section of the society has that capacity of violence, the state ceases to exist. So as it is now, government has ceased to exist in Benue State.
Let's look at the role of Samuel Ortom, the Benue State governor, in all of this. The last time I checked, the governor is supposed to be the chief security officer of the state. Some are saying that perhaps he's not being man enough. Why does he have to keep going back to Abuja to get presidential endorsement? We've seen governors, like of course, the state governor might not be close to where there's a massive number of herdsmen, but he has stood his ground and there's a lot of success recorded. Would you say that the Benue State governor is doing enough?
Yes, within the present configuration of Nigeria, because it's just the chief security officer without any troop. If you look at the constitution of Nigeria, the power to control the police is vested in the IG, and the IGP reports to the president. You see, in other climes, when a country is in this situation, caution becomes the watchword. And people that have opportunity to public space need to be very guarded in their utterances. Maybe it's because of what we have seen. Here we can sit in Lagos and begin to threaten fire and brimstone. But there are some people that are very close to the theater of war. And some of us will also travel all over the country. We might be caught up in the crossfire. And if you think probably it's going to be restricted over there, no one can tell, like a security expert will tell you, you only know the beginning of war. You don't know how it's going to end. So I think what behoves all of us now is how do we solve this problem once and for all. But I cannot continue until I make some quick direction, digression. Because you see, journalists, as they say, will report stories, events. But interestingly, some journalists have gone beyond and become historians by keeping record of what has happened. And just typical of Nigerians, when there's a problem, we always leave the substance and begin to overflow the shadow. And that is why no problem in Nigeria have ever been solved. Because every commentators, every actors begin to appeal to sentiments and emotions. Yomi raised one issue, and I'm very happy he raised it. That means he's also a historian. The issue of Alhaji Muhammad Buhari coming to Oyo State Governor, Lambeto Aladeshino. What happened? There was a fracas, sort of, between the herdsmen and the farmers. 68 herdsmen were allegedly killed. Some people were allegedly arrested and charged to court. While the court proceedings were going on, the then Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General of the state entered what lawyers would call nolle prosequi. That means that we are going to discontinue with this case. Some lives were lost. Buhari led other people, why don't you allow justice to take its full course? Just a little before the end of last year, in Numa, I have been there before. I was there July last year for a wedding. And I saw, like I said, I was telling people, you could see tension there because of the Hausa, the Bachama, whatever.
Yeah, Bachama tribe.
The Fulanis went out. Some people went to their houses, killed their wives, killed their children. About 100 before last year. Nobody raised any dust. Nigerians are making look at it as if these Fulanis are not Nigerians. Let me tell you something near for me. I was listening to one man today, Professor Ejoyewese Hagner. He is the president, African Leaders Institute. He said, just as Nigerians need herdsmen, herdsmen need Nigeria. In other countries, the cattle industry gives rise to so many industries. You have the skin industry, you have the tannery industry, you have the milk industry. Has Nigeria looked at the possibilities and the potentials in this industry? No. Do you think it will pay a man, he just likes it, to be moving from Adamawa to Yola to Asapa to Lagos because he likes it? If you look at the encroachment we are talking about, the expansion of Sahara Desert is eating into northern part of Nigeria. You see, when people come and say, is cow or cattle more valuable than human life, there is need for us to situate things within the proper perspective. When we were growing up, they were telling us of a parable. If you collect my wife, I will say, go back, take it. You have taken my problem away. If you want to claim my son, I will put up a fight. If you overpower me, I will say, go away. But if you take away my business, we will fight and die. Cattle rearing is business to these people. You see, when people say cows are, listen, wait, that cows have more value.
What business?
Because businesses, these businesses are multi-billion-dollar business.
Before I forget this, I must say this. So even if it's business, you must actually invest in your business. You see, like you said, it traveled from December 15th to January 1st. December 15, 2017, January 1st, 2018. I went back and forth Lagos to Minna twice. You could say if you live from Mokwa, Safa, Jeba, you could say it's a part of their land. Fine, they are used to their culture. But from both Isadu to Ilorin, these cattle, these herdsmen were just busy destroying people's farmlands. So do you expect a farmer to, because that's somebody's source of livelihood, to now fold his arms and watch you destroy source of livelihood? Then meanwhile, you guys, because the bottom line is this: I don't need to give you, because I don't understand what they're doing at the presidency, and I think the president and Malami needs to read the Land Use Act. Just now, come big, because you cannot expect, because most lands in Nigeria are ancestral, and the president has the right to issue the CFO. It's the governor.
Just hold the thought for a while. All right, so it's between Autumn and Lalong. And Lalong is of the opinion that he has a better alternative to the route taken by Autumn. He's of the opinion that a ranching system, it's like making a law, but not making, an alternative to that law. Does it not make sense that the governor should have built a ranching system first? Now, Benno is a basket, what do you call it?
Food basket of Nigeria.
Building a ranching system wouldn't be just for Fulani herdsmen. It's going to also enrich, meat production in that part of the country. So if you're asking people not to take their cattle out, the question is, What do they do?
Yeah, I think that was a failure of the governor, honestly speaking. Okay, now let's not forget the fact that pastoralism is a legitimate trade. That is well known. Okay, now before the governor should make that law, he will make provision for the implementation of the law. Okay, now if you are restricting people, what is the alternative? He needed to provide that space within which they will operate. Now, if they go beyond that boundary, you can now act. But in this case, it is absent. That is conspicuously absent now. So there was no provision for, so okay, you concentrate your business here in this district. We'll give you this space. You go and operate there. Now we'll monitor them, because as the facts are, the people move from one place to the other under pressure. That where they are cannot provide the feed for the cattle, so they now have to go in search of that. Now it is not the duty of government. If you are saying don't do that again, now you make the provisions, create that space for them to operate, then provide those things they need. Now it's only when they move out of that space that will now begin to say, okay, yes, they are wrong. So for him to have made the law without making provision for the implementation, the governor failed. And I think that is also where I will agree with that, the gentleman relatively. No. But the point is this: when this law was made, when they had a town hall meeting, okay, the Mieti Allah, the leaders, were giving conditions that we to obey that law. Don't forget, in Taraba, for the same thing, they almost invaded the House of Assembly when they were working on similar law. And how can a race be superior to a government? Because that's a question we have to answer. And that is where that sentiment of they are doing what they're doing because the other man is the president.
But what about the idea that, just a minute, Yemi, the fact that the Benue State governor is saying there is no going back on the law? I mean, it is one thing to say there's no going back on the law, but it's also another thing to say now we have to build the cattle, what do we call it now?
The ranch
and all of that.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Colonies.
Yeah, you must be responsive, because the action of these people now is a demand of the government, no matter how violent. Okay,
it's not blackmail.
It's not justified. No, it's not blackmail. It's not justified, but it's a demand of government that this cannot work in this way. So make provision for them to where the space to operate, and if they go beyond that boundary, that actions can be taken. Now, if they go outside that, then actions can be taken also. So the government must have to respond positively and not in the direction.
So before you go, let me just give you an analogy. It's like a governor saying he's banning prostitution in a state, and you're asking the governor to build a brothel. So those prostitutes cannot.
No, prostitution is an illegal trade.
I know.
No, they're not comparable.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying prostitution. I'm not saying.
Yeah, it's an illegal
trade. We are not unaware of this. You drive out now, you see them at red light districts. Now the governor says, I don't want to see these red light districts. And you now say, okay, for the governor's law to be so germane and so altruistic and so true and so balanced, you must go and build hotels. Because the truth of the matter, don't forget that these people. I'm coming.
Prostitution is not as relevant as.
No, I'm coming. It's an analogy. Now the question is this: don't forget that these people are private business owners. So which risk are they taking as private business owners if the governor or the government will build them ranch, will probably plant the pastures and everything there, and hand it over to them?
Don't government build airports?
I want to ask you a question. Do you know the tax? No, why can you be complaining? Why are you doing this now?
What's the job of the Minister of Agriculture? It's the commission.
Well, the Minister of Agriculture, you forget that the Minister of Agriculture promised some fantastic pasture or grass or water from Brazil. 3 years, almost 3 years down the line, they are still in transit.
It's not the federal government.
Let's be careful with something. You see, I am not against the Fulani tribe. I probably will say this on national TV. I almost even married from the Fulani race. Almost. It wasn't because of sentiment. But I will tell you this. You see, the government seems to be. You see, we cannot resolve this issue if justice doesn't seem to be served.
We're going to get to the issue of justice, but is there anything wrong in government building colonies?
Governments have business in business.
It is nothing. There's nothing wrong in it.
I know there's nothing absolutely wrong.
And I was giving the example of America, when the popular cowboys were talking about became a menace. What the American government did was, how do we take these guys off the streets? The American government, because of this business, set up a rail line crisscrossing states. You see, somebody sent me a report. This lady, Kudirat, what's the name of this Kudirat's daughter? Afsat. It was part of the studies. Why are these people desperate to move out of the north? I'm very happy you said you have been to me now. If you get to those areas now, you won't see green grass because of the problem of encroachment. These people are being driven southward because they believe to some extent, you just take a trip from here to Benin, you will see green leaves everywhere. How then do we take them off the roads? Government has a role to play. When the president of this country, the president doesn't have his cattle roaming the street, he has a ranch built by himself. He must have taken loan. One of the first things this man did was to what they call open grazing bill. That okay, let us create ranches. Nigeria started shouting, Islamization. They want to take over our lands. That won't die down naturally. Now the problem continues. What is the essence of colony? People, you ask them when the minister said we are going to have what do you call it, cattle colonies, they started talking about colonization. Ask any person, do you understand what the governor was saying, what the minister was saying? They will not tell you. The minister, this same Samoto, when he went to see the president, he said, okay, the minister said they're going to have colony. He said he doesn't know what it means. The pressman came out and said, autumn goes against cash colony. That is not what we need now. Our reportage, our utterances on here must preach peace. Now, Yami was talking about this private business. Go and read this report. I will send it to you. They said, they said we have about, I'm very sorry if I can't get the figure right, that we have about 20 million cattle in Nigeria that needs about 60 billion liters of water every day. This business is not a small business. Yomi is contesting why should government go into it. In other countries, when situations like this come, when businesses are being threatened, what they do is they provide bailout for people. It happened in America. In Nigeria here it happened. When we have problem with airlines, Nigerian government gave airlines money as bailout. It was our money. The NEPA we are using today, they sold our property to some people. Nobody raised us. You raised an issue, please let me tell you something. We were talking about airport built by the Nigerian government, or land acquired by the Nigerian government. We have people that have private airlines. Did you tell them to go and build their airport? Are they not using our airport build on Nigerian money paying?
But they pay tax, they pay landing charges and water.
They pay. Now you have people that have football clubs. Do they have stadium? Are they not using this stadium maybe as government? Let the government build these tranches for these guys. Charge them money for it. We take them off the street.
Would you say that, just a minute, would you say that Mr. President has reacted well to this issue?
No. Like I said, typical of Nigerian government, his reaction has been very
awful.
Okay, awful. Because when some of us came out to say, this is the man we want, it was because we believe that there's a need for us to get out of where we are coming from. So, and unfortunately, like I always say, when issues like this come up, we leave the correct narratives and begin to look at other issues. How can we get to the end of the problem? When some people believe by saying, yes, now we told you that is changed now, we told you they can't do it, and somebody was reminding them that have they forgotten that in 2012, there was this same herdsmen attack that killed about 50 people in 2012. When they were doing the burial, a former senator in Nigeria, Senator Lalong, the herdsmen attacked the burial and killed them. Did it happen under Buhari? Look, there's a need for us to situate things how it happened.
But there's something we're missing out. Even if 10 people were killed during Jonathan's regime, Babangida's regime, Abacha's regime, and even Muhammadu Buhari's government, there's a constant denominator there. Full and heads, men. So what are we waiting? Whether we like it or not, it is constant. So no matter what you can come up with, these guys have been in the mix of the killings.
How relevant is the issue of whether someone is the grand patron?
No, you see I don't. Let me tell you, I don't believe that has anything to play in this. That has any importance in this issue. You see, my own girls or body anger to this whole thing is this. It's for you cannot keep justifying an age-long, primitive, Stone Age way of life in the 21st century. Is it that you leave the 21st century for us and go find some place?
I concur totally that because nomadic farming is obsolete. But I'll be back to Yemi. Let's talk about the issue of justice. Yeah. Because whether a Fulani headsman killed someone, whether it was a farmer, the fact is that certain people were killed. A 4-year-old girl, youth service corps member. I mean, these were people, human beings like us, who had a life, who had the future, who had dreams, and was just abruptly terminated. How come we don't have a system that can give them justice. Because these issues, you know, the presidency came out with a long list of history, how about 200 people died in the past years, but then nobody has been brought to book on this issue. And this is not only limited to the issue of herdsmen. It's the same challenge with fighting corruption. It's the same challenge with every other sphere of the society.
Yeah, you see, the problem of justice in Nigeria is owing to the fact that we don't have a government that serves national interests. There's no government that can serve the national interest of Nigeria. So what we have had over the year to the present are sectional government serving sectional interests. And when it comes to that, you can hardly get justice. Do you understand? Now, if when you look at the reactions, the updates, you see the Arewa Forum setting up panel to look into the anti-graft open law. Prison. They're not even looking at the killings. They did no panel to look at the killing. They're not looking at the law of a state government. So these are issues of justice, because they don't think that those that were killed are important.
Okay, sorry, I have to butt in here. So, you say, Nnamdi Kanu, we don't know where he is right now. He was just issuing threats. And before you know it, there was Operation Python Dance in Abia State.
And the man, what was his weapon?
But fine. You have a Mieti Hala that has said they are tagged. Because look at this, that they are tagged because of their cattle or cows.
Yeah.
And he has not been picked up. You see, for us to start, the starting point for us as a nation to resolve this thing. I don't care when they start. Maybe if it's when there's a prison attack and they hold the farming community, charge them to court. But once justice is seen or seem to be served, be an end to this insanity. But you see, but when it's only an animal that will value an animal's life more than human life, it's just standard. I cannot rationalize it. That you think somebody will tell me.
It is rational that if I kill your cattle, perhaps the worst you should have done is destroy a farmland and not kill someone.
Yeah, you destroy.
It also talks about the.
Yeah, so equating the value of cattle to human life. That's what we're saying. It's most irrational.
Let me bring Deepo in here. So we saw the handshake across the Niger. They call it a celebration of Igbo-Yoruba friendship, beyond brotherhood, and Uzoku Mana initiative. And they are asking that the Miyetti Allah be prescribed as a terrorist group. Now, their point of view is that, unarmed members of the indigenous people of Biafra, according to them, were allegedly killed by soldiers and all of that. Prescribed.
Yeah.
So, in your own evaluation, do you see Miyetti Allah also being prescribed?
Yeah, if you look at the activities or actions ascribed to them, it's nothing but terrorism. Because when you have a village attacked in the dead of the night, people were caught unawares, and then after killing them, houses were burnt. But the first thing that you need to do first is, who are the people behind it? You look at reports from newspapers. Miyetti Allah claims responsibility. You listen to Miyetti Allah personally on television live. They say we don't know anything about the killing. I was listening to the national PRO of Miyetti Allah on the television station today. The man said they don't know anything about the killing. That the government should go and fish them out, arrest them as criminals. So that is the dilemma of a state. I think what Nigeria should be involved in now.
If those people are truly herdsmen, don't you think the Miyetti Allah as an organization has the responsibility of reaching out to people who ply the same trade?
There have been so many permutations. Like according to that man, he said their men don't carry sophisticated weapons.
But we have
some studies have come out to say there are three aspects of this cattle business. There are the baron that are the owners of the cattle. There are the generals spread across Nigeria. So when people say Fulani old men, Fulani men have this cattle, I just laugh. I have an in-law. The guy is based in UK. He has about 200. That somebody is running for him along that Ekpato road. He's a Yoruba guy. And we have seen all of them. We don't begin to name names. These are big men behind this business. Then we have those boys that are sent out to go and be moving with this cattle from north to south. So when the issue of cattle rustling became the order of the day, they set up normally, which according to report which we read, so a professor said he had done the research, that they now set up a military wing. That now this with when there's going to be any problem, those guys know who to call, they raise alarm, then they quickly come there. That is where what the government needs to do, is to put on their thinking cap. Let the security agencies get to the root of this thing. Because, like I always say, somebody was telling us, yes, let us assume that they have stolen your cattle. They have killing your business. What comes into your head and what you begin to do is to come into a village in the night and begin to kill people, innocent children. That one is beyond the issue of cattle. So that is why all these noise we are making the direction will not solve the problem. I think that is where, yes, there have been meetings upon meetings. I'm very happy you are from Benue State. Just sometimes in 2013, was it? I can't remember. There was this Akatu and the herdsmen killing going on. Yes. What did the government not do then? He organized a forum for the Akatu people and the herdsmen. The Akatu people now say, okay, let us solve this problem once and for all. You herdsmen, we give you this place. Be doing your thing. Whatever ammunition you want to carry, you can carry it within this range. But if you come out, please don't carry any ammunition. Don't bring your cattle out. Oh yeah, you farmers, this is your own business. Don't encroach on their land. Since the last killing in 2013, I don't think that
there was a killing in Agatu, but at what point? In 2016. If I went on for 5 days, if I went on for a week, until Nigerians started shouting on social media, that was when there was a press release from the presidency.
So at what point is it legal for a businessman to carry ammunition? I mean, because
if you
forget about being
the law, except you obtain a license
and the permit is also for shotguns.
Certain things they take into consideration. But what I suspect, according to the report of that professor, is that these big men, by virtue of their position in society, will apply for license. Because I can't imagine that common guy going to inspector of police to apply for license that they will grant it.
Let me show you something. I think if you are the only firearm you can get with a license is a shotgun, what probably we call double barrel. You can't even get a license, a permit for a sidearm, pistol, or an assault rifle.
AK-47.
The way they get this thing is obviously we know the illegal arms trade. That's the largest business in the whole world. Arms deal is fantastic if you have money going to it.
Well, you know this is you also kidding
I
right
didn't do it. But you don't want money.
It appears that even if we have these headsmen arrested, we're just going to arrest the foot soldiers, except we can identify who owns the business, and then somebody must begin to take
There is a solution. The solution is this: create a ranch. If you're a businessman, just build your ranch. I don't care if you are you see, if you want to do business with me, I can still call my uncles. We have land. My grandfather was meant to be an Oba. Though he ran away, but we still have right to the land. I can give you can just build your ranch. Just build because once you have a ranch, you probably secure your cattle there. Anybody that now comes to your ranch is encroaching. You cannot do whatsoever. You can defend your property with all means deemed necessary. But you see, you are claiming that they are stealing their cattle and they are killing their cattle. But imagine you coming to I've actually planted yam. I've waited for almost 5 months, and I want to harvest. And I get to my farm the next day, and I see heads of a cattle feasting on my hard labor. Because if you want to justify that, because they are stealing the livelihood of the herdsmen, look at the farmers. Look at the farm. So but you want to go into private business. You cannot say the government can come with they call it SBA loans in America, small business back loans. The government cannot, because an agricultural innovative or whatever, they can come with the Ministry of Agriculture, come up with loans and grants, and probably the government can be, the federal government now at the center now can liaise with the state governors, because the state governors have the assets to the sea of land. Get the government with whatever grazing right, give them then you cannot partner. Then that's but just to say you just want to give people land by fiat because somebody is making one order in Abuja and because a governor, well, they're lucky I'm not governor of Ogun State.
Let me bring Sunday in here. It's a pre-election year. It appears the Muhammadu Buhari administration has no choice but to fix this challenge. If they have anything to learn from the Chibok issue with Jonathan and how that became a very relevant issue for the election, what do you see the president do? Some are saying that perhaps he should visit Benue. He should speak to Nigerians specifically on this issue and how he intends to solve the problem.
Well, I think those are two superficial issues. We are saying people are dying. in every violent uprising involving these herdsmen. Visiting and speaking will not solve it. They should take responsibility, make provisions for those people to be restricted and be comfortable as well. Okay, because they're in business, that's the reality. So they are entitled to having space for their business. Now, take election out of it. It's only when you do what the people want, you can ask for the people support. Is it the ones in the grade that will vote for him? That he has lost 73 votes in Benue now. Are they going to vote for the grade? That is for the vote.
If you are expecting President Muhammadu Buhari to address you, you're probably deceiving yourself, because 2 full years he has not addressed us as a nation.
No, something is possible. Okay, now
he did address us on January 1st.
So okay. What I say is that government should,
presidential media
government should behave as government. Now, the last response, at least he has interacted with the IG of police. He has ordered security to be beefed up in that area. That is a step government should take. But that's also mechanical. You should look for organic process, of solving that problem once and for all. Because when they withdraw the security apparatus, the people come back again. They have issued another threat. Okay, even after the burial.
They must repeal the anti-grazing law.
So,
I've not seen that.
We must have a government that is actually a government. So the president must, for instance, the cattle colony. How can you talk about a cattle colony? That's a backward knowledge you are applying in governance. Do you know what colony means? The colony that was, there are costs all over the world. Create a colony now. You give them a small space of, let's say, 100 meters. The population will grow over the years. And that will expand. Before you know, there are invading communities.
Yes, naturally they want to expand.
They should have to. They say they have land mass in the north. Fine. Let them develop it. Do not introduce dry season farming. What are they talking about? Do not introduce dry season farming that will have crops growing all the year round. When he was there,
Israel
why
can't
they apply science?
Is booming. Why do they need
so
to
what are we talking? Why are they seeing evil about the man now not seeing good? It's what now. If you travel to the north during the dry season, you see rivers dried up. Okay, during the rain season, you will see very big rivers.
So it's just about keep irrigating the soil.
So that is what we are talking. That's what we're talking about. So while they are there, applying temporary measure, they should think of law.
That makes a lot of sense. So perhaps we won't do so much ranches in the south if we have enough.
I wouldn't want to do that because
the ranches itself is not going to be concentrated in the south again. There's a need for you to go and read the paper released by the Ministry of Agriculture, even before this present wahala. But the point is, there should be the spirit of give and take. This idea of, they are Hausa Fulani, not many Nigerians should remove it from their sentiment. And it's affecting the way we talk about these issues.
No, the sentiment because it's causing destruction. People are dying. What are we talking about? Those in the grave now, are they not living to witness what we are talking about? What are we saying about? The sentiment will remain as long as this is happening. People are dying.
Like Professor USA Hagner said, he has been an ambassador of Nigeria to Canada. He's now the president of African Leaders Institute in America. He said there should be for us to have what they call give and take. You guys must exist, we too must exist. How do I mean? What do you want? What do you need? Because we need them. We need the industry. If actually Nigeria is very serious about that question, the economy, we need them. Okay, this is our problem. We want to become self-sufficient in food production. In 1998, I had the honor of traveling extensively in Benue State because I was working at the television station then. The governor of Benue State, one very young Colonel Mohammed, wanted us to package a documentary. The title is Benue State, Benue Food Basket of the Nation. We traveled extensively. And when you look at the Zakibian yam we saw then, and then we saw the different rice mills we saw, and it's a tendency that this thing will be destroyed by some cattle just moving aimlessly because cattle doesn't know whatever to avoid or not. The moment he sees green leaves, he begins to eat it. When he's moving in that his way, he steps on it. How do we take them out? How do we educate them that cattle, those cattle you have taken from Kaduna to Asaba to Lagos, have lost what we call nutrients.
Yes, right.
You can't get good meat from them.
Right.
Let him know that you are doing yourself a lot of good. It is not their joy. How do we, like Dalong said, and typical of Nigerians, we always misconstrue things when things are stated. This man said, I told my colleague, if you are going to, when we are growing up, there is a proverb, if you want to take something from a child, you give him something in red. There must be something you give in return. So let us forget about this, their Kulani. Let us forget about their farmers. How do we live together in harmony? That should be the primary responsibility of everybody.
Sorry,
just 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm going to say, you see,
your final remarks.
It's fantastic that we need to live together. We have to cohabit peacefully. There's no doubt about that. But some people should not blackmail us into living in peace. Because that's what I'm saying, you see. Because when they come with utterances as men that they must repeal this law for this to happen, they have to, as a people, decide they want to discard disregard that whole way of life, moving from wherever to wherever. That is when the idea of selling the ranch to them can even fly.
That's correct. Sonny, let me have your final remarks on this issue.
Yeah, the federal government should come in. Both the federal and state government should come in. Provide that ranch. Give them that land mass.
But not for few.
Okay? They cannot link, they cannot develop the rail line with which they can transport those cattle to the south. Then they do their business.
It's important that we need to upgrade the system of farming, of agriculture in this part of the world. Gentlemen, thank you very much for finding time to come. I've been speaking with Debo Olayo, broadcast journalist. Yabisaka is an online journalist, and Sunday Bibas is the news editor. Thank you so much for your wealth of contribution. Well, the bottom line is that amongst the